Yaffee Live on Talk Radio 102.3.
Hello, everyone. It is Brandon Lewis, the founder of the Tennessee Conservative, filling in for my good friend Michael Yaffee. And as I sit here and look out my window, you wouldn't believe what I can see. I can see the beautiful Atlantic Ocean. We've got powdery white beaches. We have got sun-clad and scantily clad bathers outside. So what could possibly pull me away from this beautiful beach setting with my family and a coconut drink with an umbrella in it? It's saving Tennessee, moving it in a conservative direction, and that includes Hamilton County. So if you're just tuning in, I am Brandon Lewis, founder of the Tennessee Conservative. I often call in to talk radio. I'm a long-time talk radio supporter, decades probably of listening, maybe 3 decades of listening, and 15 years or more of supporting it financially. I'm going to give you a little bit of background on yours truly, and then we're going to look at some news stories as well. So we've got a lot to pack in this show. So first up, I love being down here at St. Simon's Island, and believe it or not, you wouldn't think that this place has anything to do with my story as getting back into conservative politics after years of being out of it. So let me just tell you a little bit about my background in case you're unfamiliar. First things first, I've been in Chattanooga for about 20 years. I moved here right after undergrad. I worked for Senator Corker, Congressman Desjardins, about 14, 15 different campaigns that I've ran or been intimately involved in or raised money for. All of them have been successful. And I got out of it for 6 years, but COVID dragged me back in. I was sitting at my office illegally working because Jim Coppinger, a.k.a. the Walrus, was shutting everything down, right? Because masks work, the vaccine stopped transmission. We knew that. We need to set the kids at home. We need to shut down businesses. There will be no permanent repercussions. It's just 2 weeks. All the stuff. And so I was just beside myself trying to figure out, well, how can we get our Republican leadership back to sanity in Hamilton County? How can we get people to realize that this has happened before historically, that there's no data to support this, that this may be some kind of mass psychosis, which it turned out to be. And so April of 2020, we did a little protest on the Market Street Bridge, basically just saying we want our schools open, our churches open, we want people to get back to work. And of course, the Times Free Press treated us like hayseeds and hicks, and the mainstream media completely, which turned out to be wrong on every single issue. So if you ever wonder, if you ever took the advice of the Chattanooga Times Free Press with the mainstream media during COVID and then later felt very foolish, I don't think I would follow those news publications. Apparently they are not very helpful when it matters most on getting the story correct. But nonetheless, so it determined, as I tried to change the county, that all the authority came from the state. And so we slowly but surely switched our focus from Hamilton County specifically to statewide. And as I was going through all of that awfulness, trying to just get our Republican Party to read the Constitution and represent our values instead of whatever knee-jerk crazy reactions they were having to a cold, I still needed to go on vacation, right? And, of course, Tennessee had ruined its tourism economy unnecessarily, as had a lot of other states, for staying in cabins, for going on trips, for going to the beach, etc. But guess who didn't? Guess who didn't? Guess where the land was that time forgot? Georgia. Or COVID forgot, rather. Georgia. Brian Kemp, who I think did a fantastic job as governor compared to our governor during COVID for sure, it was like, we're not doing any of this. We're not shutting down the businesses. And so St. Simon's stayed open. It's like you came down here and everybody was okay and nobody was dying and nobody was falling over and there weren't corpses on the street and the businesses were open and the hotels were open and everybody was having a good time. And also you could go to cabins at beaches and things of that nature. So that is where I really, I'd already come here for years previously, but during COVID, it became our beach escape from the insanity of Tennessee lawmakers. And so that's how I got here, guys. And we've been running the Tennessee Conservative for 5 years now. We've had a significant electoral and legislative impact, but it's all grassroots funded, right? We don't have any corporate sponsors. It's all just people like you that chip in $5, $10, $20, $100 a month to support us. And you can do that at TennesseeConservativeNews.com/support. So if you want to, call in to the Talk Monster, 267-1023. And I'm curious here, Max, how am I going to know if there is anyone on the line? Because I can't see anything on my end because I'm doing this remotely.
Well, I can either send you a text or I can just say, we got Joe on the line.
That is perfect. Let's just do it the old-fashioned way. We got old so-and-so on the line. That's going to be our standard operating procedure.
I will let you know.
All right. And so what's on your mind, guys? I'd like to just talk to you about some of these stories that are going on in Hamilton County and all over the state. There are a few of these. First up, a Tennessee lawmaker files a bill to criminalize doxing of immigration enforcement officers. I don't know how many of you have been watching. Nashville Mayor Freddie O'Connell essentially tried to sideline, obstruct, finally, for the first time in my adult lifetime, the federal government from doing some very small amount of remediation on the illegal immigration problem that we have in our country, specifically in Tennessee. Now, to be just frank with you, this is a problem Tennessee lawmakers and our Hamilton County delegation could have tackled a long time ago, but they've kicked the can down the road. Why? Special interest, cheap labor. Even our own Hamilton County School Board thinks that we should be funding illegal aliens at taxpayer expense. We'll get into that story a little bit later. But finally, we're getting to see a little bit of traction, and boy, just a little bit of actual action is enough to send Democrats into the stratosphere. And one thing I will say about this story is you watch Freddie O'Connell do executive orders as the mayor, telling his people to report on anything that's going on with ICE. I don't know if he's trying to tip the illegal aliens off. I don't know if he's trying to intimidate people. But the whole goal of the information gathering and reporting mechanism in Nashville is to hinder it, right? There's only one or two things. You're trying to hinder the authorities, or you're trying to help the lawbreakers flee, one of the two. And, you know, these are things that we could have fixed a long time ago. But I will say this, my hat's off to the Democrats and Freddie O'Connell, because they do one thing better than Republicans in the state of Tennessee by far, and that is they represent their constituents. Like their constituents, Democrats mostly, think illegal immigration is a great thing. Not all of them, but most. And to see their mayor stand up and buck the system to fight for a value is like impressive to me. You don't see Republicans doing that very often unless there's some kind of political benefit to them in Tennessee. They are corporately purchased. I think 93% of Republicans' money at the state level comes from outside their district and from special interests. That is with leadership, specifically with the Republican Party in Tennessee. And so because Jack Johnson is running for re-election, he is the majority leader in the Senate, the Tennessee Senate, and because he narrowly won his election the last time around, and there's lots of divisive things going on in Williamson County that you may not be aware of, he's trying to do anything he can to appear tough on the issue of illegal immigration, which is what most of the bills that have come out of the Tennessee legislature have been the last 4 or 5 years. They've been very ceremonial. They've been very after the fact. But there's been very few preventative illegal immigration bills that have made it out of what should be a slam dunk supermajority of Republicans. And so Senate Bill 1464 was filed by Senate Majority Leader Jack Johnson, and he wants to make certain records regarding information, or rather immigration enforcement actions, confidential and not subject to public disclosure as it relates to the identity of the ICE officer. I think that's perfectly fine. Now, I will say this. I'm not a big fan of secrecy or privacy or information being withheld from citizens as it relates to the government at all. For the most part, when push comes to shove, I would rather have more disclosure than less. Okay, if we see something we don't like, that's okay. We can do something about it. And this legislation would make it a Class E felony for state and local officials to negligently release any identifying information on these officers. And, of course, it's got 12 Senate co-sponsors. It's funny. It's easy to get co-sponsors on this legislation that really doesn't do much, right? So you think about it. We've probably got, millions. I don't know if millions. We've got hundreds of thousands of illegal aliens here in Tennessee. They're filling up our jails. They're clogging up our schools, the healthcare system. They're taking jobs. Often they make money and they send it back home. It doesn't stay in the local economy. It's a cultural harm to our country to be invaded and flooded this way that we have been. But Randy McNally, Farrell Hale, Ken Yeager, Adam Lowe, all these people could have done something years ago. Now, they'll sign on to this. I mean, if you think about it, how many times is this going to happen? Maybe this is going to prevent a dozen things. I mean, how many people ever prosecuted on this? Well, what instead we need to do is cut off the education magnets, which we'll talk about later. We need to cut off the job magnets. We need to cut off the free benefit magnets and the mass transportation magnets and the wiring money back home magnets that make Tennessee just, I mean, you think about it. You look around at Tennessee and you look around at our lawmakers. If you're an illegal alien, are you afraid to be here? I don't think so. You get benefits. You get a free taxpayer-funded education. You go get jobs. There's no enforcement. So, I mean, Tennessee's very appealing to illegal aliens, and Tennessee Republicans have made it so by their lack of action. And so this is all good, but we need preventative legislation as well. Guys, as you look around Hamilton County, as you look around the state of Tennessee, do you see any problems with illegal aliens? I mean, we keep being told by Democrats there's no issue. The mainstream media in Chattanooga thinks it's great, right? It's just diversity. We need diversity. Chamber of Commerce will tell you we need diversity. And there's no problem. Like, it's just all diversity. Like, it's all good. There's no bad to it. And so if you see any problems in the community, please call in, talk about it. 267-1023, 267-1023. Next story. President Trump fires former VP Al Gore's chief of staff from a position on the TVA board. On Tuesday, President Donald Trump fired Beth Greer from her position on the Tennessee Valley Authority's board of directors. This makes for Trump's third firing of a Biden-appointed TVA board member since taking office in January. Greer's a Brentwood resident who previously served as chief of staff for former Vice President Al Gore. Her term was not supposed to be up until May of 2026. Now, of course, in February, guys, you know, only 11 days after President Trump returned to the White House, TVA CEO Jeff Layash chose to retire. Like, he just chose to retire. And he was the highest earning government employee in the nation. In fact, I think he made over 20 times more than the president. I just don't see how we get that is a cushy job when you can earn 20 times more than the president. I think it's more important when I look at the two positions, right? I mean, we obviously don't want a nuclear reactor to blow up next door to us because we've got incompetent people in government. I mean, I absolutely believe that you should have competent people at TVA. But I think the president's job is a little bit more important, a little bit harder to get, perhaps, and probably should be compensated a little differently. In an op-ed published by Tennessee Senator Marsha Blackburn, U.S. Senator, and Bill Hagerty, said that TVA was facing a historic moment and could decide the nation's energy security for decades to come. And so, essentially, there's also been some other shakeups at TVA. President Trump fired TVA board member Michelle Moore. Executive Vice President John Mole replaced Lash as the TVA's president and CEO. And I think recently Trump fired Joe Rich. So it's nice to see an executive that just doesn't let people mold and molder and die in these positions. If you're not doing a good job in a position, if you are some kind of political hack that's just been appointed, I think it is time for the new administration to definitely to cut ties, clean house, and make things better.